With the Evap purge solenoid delete plug. Yeah, but you gotta turn it sideways, not straight up and down. Now you can't cover the light up or the camera up. Can you see me? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing this ICT Billet alternator high mount accessory bracket. I'm deleting my power steering pump. I have a manual steering truck as it is, and this alternator sets so high on my engine that it won't let the hood close, along with the Evap purge solenoid. So I've got this to handle that. So let's get started. This is my 1988 S10. It's a two-wheel drive. I have a 4.8 LS out of a 2001 Silverado. It's got Sanderson Shorty block hugger headers on there. It's rear mount turboed. Not any real engine mods. I've got a big map sensor on there for it to read boost. This alternator sets up so high right there that it wants to hit, and so does the Evap purge solenoid underneath here. And we will take this intake cover off there and be able to see that a whole lot better. Say hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
All right, so now we're going to take this 8mm socket and remove the intake cover.
I can't really see. There.
All right, now this is your Evap purge solenoid, and you can't hardly tell from this angle, but if I lower the camera down here some, you can tell that it is the tallest thing on this engine. And the factory S10 hood will just hit that and hit the alternator too. So we're going to get started on removing all of that. But first, I will show you that this is a manual brake, manual steering truck. I do have the power steering pump on it from the factory 4.8. Left it on there. The only thing I did was loop the lines back together to the pump. So this whole time, it's just been pumping back to itself. And yeah, it's never really been an issue. I've always been planning on doing this, but just lately, the power steering pump has started to whine. So that was a sign for me to go ahead and do this swap. First and foremost, we are going to start with the Evap purge solenoid delete plug from ICT Billet. This is part number 551624, purge solenoid plug, made in the USA. This is plugged into your engine harness. That can just be unplugged, taped up, blocked off, or whatever. I'm going to set that to the side for now. This, on a factory vehicle, would be going to the engine, but on here it's just to atmosphere. So I can remove this hose and this solenoid all at one time by removing that bolt right down there. And that thing should wiggle and pull right out. Okay, now we're going to remove the purge solenoid by taking an 8mm socket and removing this bolt right down here. There it is. That piece is now out of there. Now, voila, there it is.
I can't see with you wiggling around.
Now we're gonna replace this with this plug here. Now to just get my handy dandy knife out, Evelyn, you better be doing a good job or I'm not gonna let you film for me no more. There's our plug. Does not have the O-ring on it yet, but it did come with one. So let's get that out. There is our O-ring. Phew, that's gonna be a stretch to get on there. I'm gonna get it started in the groove right there and work it on around. It was a nice and stretchy O-ring. Didn't look like it needed any grease to make it over there. Stretched over it just fine. So now we're gonna put that in that hole and bolt it down with this. And now I will show you the hole we are plugging. This is what's gonna look like while you've got it off of there. Now to slide the plug into place. Looks nice on there. Time to put this bolt in. All right, now I'm gonna run that down with the, looks to be an 8mm on that. I'm gonna run it down with that ratchet I had just a moment ago. Okay, there it is. Evap purge solenoid has been deleted. There's more clearance there now. Also, when you do this bracket, you have to run a 75.5 inch belt on there if you're running a 105 amp alternator. Hiding underneath of my blow off valve down there is my belt tensioner. It is a 15mm. Oh, it's hiding way down there. It is a 15mm hex head. And I'm just going to take this breaker bar, slide it on there, and turn her clockwise to loosen the belt. And now it's off of there. I'll tell you one thing I'd like to do is find the difference of how much these new parts weigh versus how much this old setup weighs. That would give me a pretty good idea of how much weight I'm saving, because I know I'm going to be saving several pounds. Since we're going to have the hot wires going to the alternator disconnected, we're going to unhook the battery so that it doesn't short out anywhere. This truck has a bed mounted battery. I'm just going to take off the ground cable for now, and that should do the trick. Next, I'm going to take the alternator off. Things that you're going to have to unplug is your engine harness plug going to your alternator and your power wire coming off the back of your alternator. I have my engine harness grounded right there. Some people don't. I'm going to have to unhook that and take both of these bolts out to remove this alternator. Before I take this alternator off, I want to note visually its location. So that would be its vertical location. This harness might also be in the way some. Okay, here we are at the weigh station on the deep freeze with the bathroom scale. Okay, I've got the truck alternator power steering pump bracket idler pulley power steering pump with pulley full of fluid. Still got this battery power electrical bracket on there, and then we have the high mount ICT truck alternator kit. That is essentially a power steering delete kit. My truck does not have power steering, but my engine has been running this pump looped back to itself for the past 6 years. And I'm finally getting around to swapping to that. So we're about to find out how much weight I'm going to be saving on top. Alright, gonna weigh it with all the bolts in it now. We're at 0 pounds, 0 ounces. 23.8 pounds. Quite a hefty unit right here. That is not counting the alternator. This one is not going to be counting the alternator either, but it's going to be counting the hardware and the bracket and all the pulleys. Of course, the alternator is not going to change in weight, so that shouldn't change the difference between these two right here. So here we go. The ICT Billet kit. Okay, so that doesn't weigh enough for my bathroom scale to read it, so I'm going to go get the shipping scale. I really wish this was measured out on the same scale, but I got to do with what I can. This scale's not quite big enough to hold the factory power steering pump alternator bracket. So, okay, we're 0 pounds, 0 ounces. Here we go. Setting on there, nice and level. 4 pounds and 7.2 ounces. This thing essentially weighs 20 pounds less than the factory power steering pump alternator bracket. With the power steering pump full of fluid, of course. There's a little bitty 4.8 Vortec with the accessory bracket removed from it. Looks pretty gross down there. Might have some oil or coolant seeping out somewhere. Not stressing it too bad. Nothing major on fluid leakage. I do plan on cleaning it up some though, where this is gonna mount to while I'm in it. Not that it's a show truck and I'm gonna clean the whole engine or anything, but in due time. But for now, it's all about getting that bracket on there, getting it going to where I can put a hood back on it. Alright, there it is. It's all mocked up on there. Don't have anything tightened down yet. Don't have the alternator on there. None of that. Just kindly set her on there according to the diagram here. But yeah, looking promising. Looking very promising. Alright, I've got it mounted on there. I've got the belt on there. I have the power wire on there. What I don't have on there is the alternator engine harness plug that goes right here. And it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to reach it. So I'm going to have to add in some wire to make it fit right there. One other note, I hated to say it, but this smooth pulley right here, I couldn't get the spacer to go into the inside of the inside race of the bearing. So ended up having to file it down and hammer it in, and I was not happy about it, but the bearing still felt great when I got done. So it is what it is. The location looks great. It's below my core support by like a couple of inches. Really moved that alternator quite a bit. Show you from this side. Way down in there. Before, I believe it was like somewhere in there. I'd say it dropped it down a solid like 4 inches or so. Moved it over like 8 maybe. But yeah, gonna solder this wire, put it back together, and fire it up and call it done. Make sure I'm charging. Make sure the belt doesn't fly off there. Alright, there it is in all its glory. Added the extension in there. Could have been a little bit longer. Probably going to extend it again so I can tuck it a little bit better. But I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this truck. This might not even be permanent. I might put power steering on the truck. That way I can slide a little bit better. But right now, I guess I'm going for minimal stress on the engine and seeing what I can maximize the miles per gallon at on this little girl. The best I've had on it was 27 miles per gallon. That was the 4.8 with the factory setup. It also had an economy tune on it, 27 miles per gallon. I'm hoping I can get somewhere over 31 eventually. I'm running MV3500 on this thing right now. Get the battery hooked back up, so let's see if it'll start.